Welcome to Rye Whiskey Garage. Today I'm working on my 1971 GMC L87 6.2 liter and 10-speed conversion project. Just starting this project, I just picked up this engine and transmission package off of eBay. It's out of a 2021 GMC Sierra. It's got 12,000 miles on it and was delivered a few weeks ago. This truck I picked up a few months ago and drove it with its 350 cubic inch small block and 400 turbo 400 transmission for a while, a few months. Never really ran right, and then it just really started to not run right one day. It's down at least a couple cylinders, I would say. Did a compression test on it. Some of the cylinders were way lower than others. I've tried messing with all kinds of stuff. I think it's mechanical at this point. Time to go fuel injected, just improve the overall drivability of it. It was a good little driver, as you know, even though the engine wasn't working really well, was still fun to cruise around. So hopefully it'll be even more fun with this. Like I said, this is out of a 2021 GMC Sierra. It is a four-wheel drive package, so it has a transfer case and the output shaft for four-wheel drive right now. I need to convert that to a two-wheel drive. These are very difficult to find in a two-wheel drive. Simply because most of the 10-speed transmissions come in the higher end model trucks, which are almost all four-wheel drive these days. So I'll share with you the parts that you need to use to convert this yourself. I myself have watched some YouTube videos on it. It doesn't appear too difficult, but you do need to take the transmission pretty much completely apart. So I'll show you as I do that and share any tips, and hopefully I don't screw it up along the way. Here are the parts I used for this project. You have the tail shaft housing and the extension carrier. Both of those I got from Rock Auto. You can see the part numbers here. I'll also link in the description below. Also had to get a gasket for the extension housing, and I bought a transmission pan gasket. Ultimately didn't end up using it because I believe the one that's on there is reusable and it was in perfect condition when I got it off. Also, this is the Dexron ULV ATF. Had to get it from the dealership. You can see that it's $9.42 per quart, so it's not cheap. Bought a case of it, and just going to use that to seal or to lubricate all of the parts as I'm kind of putting them back together. By the way, I've always used a screwdriver to get these kinds of push clips out, and this tool came with I think a package of clips that I bought recently, and I never had one before, and it's certainly handy. So I recommend getting one. I do a lot of this kind of stuff. So I lost audio on this section for some reason, but basically all I'm doing is removing the pan, just perimeter bolts around that, cleaning it up a little bit. All the fluid looked really good, anything that came out of it, no metal shavings or anything like that. Here are the bolts. This is interesting. This is an E12 bolt right here that I'm pointing at, and there's a mixture of those and 8mm bolt heads. So I actually had to go to the store to get some sockets that would fit that. Here I am just removing the filter. Pretty straightforward. If you've ever changed your transmission fluid, you've probably done this part before, so not a lot of explanation there. Okay, I'm back. Went and I got some sockets from Harbor Freight. Actually got 1/4 drive and a 3/8 drive, and glad I did, because I thought it was somewhere in the middle here around the E10 size. These are E sockets, is what I guess the technical name is. And turns out it's actually E12, I believe. So it was a lot bigger than I thought it was. So E12 for some of these sockets or some of these bolts, and then the others that are hex shaped are 8mm. So we'll get the rest of these off, and I'm going to leave these all in the valve body and everything else here. There's a lot of different lengths of screws from what I've been able to tell, or of bolts, and I don't want to get them confused with where they go when putting it back together. So I'm going to try to just leave them all in, loosen them, but leave them in, and lift it all out so I don't get anything mixed up. I never used to wear gloves, but they really do make it pretty nice when it comes to things that are real oily or greasy. Just to be able to kind of clean up is a little easier at the end of the day. There are a bunch of arrows on here that point to a lot of these different bolts. Honestly, I'm not sure why. If anyone knows, maybe drop them in the comments below and can update other people. I was going to say maybe it is pointing to the ones that need to come off to get it loose, but I don't know if that's the case. No, maybe not. I want to be real delicate with these clips. Everything's pretty new, looks to be in pretty good shape, but just don't want to have to deal with trying to splice in a new connector. I don't know if you can see this, but there are some connectors here that are actually color coded. So you've got blue goes to blue, green to green, brown goes to, I guess it's not really color coded, just kind of the off-white there. But that's helpful. Here we go. A bit of a mess there. In the pan. Okay, I was able to lift that out while leaving most of the bolts intact, so it's easier to figure out how they go back together. Now, you can see here kind of the main rotating assembly inside the transmission. I believe a gear drives this pump, so need to take that off. Yeah, you've got a gear here. Put it over here. So there's a gear, and you spin that, and it drives this pump here. Put that in the pan. The gear is right in here. So I don't think that actually needs to come out. Some of these are just kind of holding things in place, like this one. But some of them I think hold Yeah, I don't know exactly how this works, but I think it's some sort of maybe magnetic control. I think these need to come out before we can pull out this main assembly here. So just kind of might need to watch this video later just to figure out where all this stuff goes again. Yeah, some of these I think are just magnetic sensors. There's like a reluctor wheel in here. I think it just kind of tells how fast certain things are spinning in there. Same here. I'm not sure if that necessarily needs to come all the way out, but honestly, the video that I saw, the guy took it all out. So I'm going to do the same just to make sure. Here's our gear selector. Doesn't look like I need to do anything with that. These are all the electronic solenoids over here on this valve body. I'm not actually sure if I need to take any of this other stuff out. I don't think I do, actually. All right, I'm going to get creative. There's already some trash in this bag, or in this can. I'm going to use that as kind of like the support, maybe. But I don't want trash to get inside the transmission, so I'm going to double bag it. And let's see if I can do this without dropping it. Take this little piece out there so I have something to grab onto. Look at that. That is the jankiest transmission stand you will ever see, but I think it's going to work. All right, there are a bunch of bolts around the front of this. Looks like they are, I'm guessing 10 millimeters, yep. And they have some sealant on them, so to put it back together, I'll have to remember to seal it up. And a little drill driver is not going to work for that. Oh boy. This all comes apart in one piece. This is the front pump. One thing before I get it all discombobulated is make sure this goes back in the same way. And so it appears there's probably only one way this will go back in. All of these bolts appear pretty evenly spaced except for like these two right here. And then there's a gap to that one. So this goes in about like that. And I think it'll only bolt in that way. I'm going to mark this with something so I know kind of where the orientation is of these. So there's some little fingers that go on either side of a notch. I'm just going to mark the notches they go on. That way I'll be able to put it back together correctly. And these are the steels. So wavy ring, just like that. Putting everything down kind of upside down as I take it out so that I can just flip it back over to go in. Some more steels and clutches. This all looks to be in pretty good shape to me. You can also see on these there's some notches. They're different shapes. Those all line up. Another wavy band. A little trick here is that you could use a magnet to pull these steels and clutches out. Didn't realize at the time, but that's a really good trick that I saw after the fact. Okay, I'll just take the whole thing out like that. Leave that in place, I guess. Guess none of those actually need to come out. So if you're doing this at home, note to self, you just lift the whole thing out, just like that. All right, so you can see in there, there's the planetary gears down there. It's the output shaft. That's we're replacing that piece. So let me get this situated so you can see it a little better. And we'll pull those out. All right, hopefully you can see in there a little better. Pull this out. Let's just come straight up. Let it drain. There's a seal on there. There's a bearing right here. I'm not sure if we're going to have to transfer any of this over to the new output shaft or not. So side by side, you can see the two-wheel drive shaft is much longer. That's so that the slip yoke can slide on that. They both have the same spiral cut gears, 3 of them. So this all appears identical. I can't see any difference between those two. They both have this ring, looks like a reluctor ring here to go around. It was already on this. I saw one video where someone had to put it in himself. It's already on this one. And it has, I can actually see the same part number stamped in right there, 24274. 533. So these are the same part number. Flip it over, get it this way. These are the same. Everything's the same there. I don't notice any difference. They both have this little gear on it. This is just a lot longer. There's no, this has the machined area for this O-ring. This doesn't have the same kind of machined area. I'm guessing that's because the drive shaft yoke actually will seal that up. I was just thinking to myself, this actually isn't as messy as I thought it would be. And there's a ton of transmission fluid down there, so, you know, jinxed myself. Oof. So there's the four-wheel drive housing. There is a seal over here. And when I took that off, a lot more fluid leaked out. So side-by-side comparison. Yeah, like that. Have all the same bolts. But you can see that this is set up for a slip style yoke. And this is set up to hook up to a transfer case. Also, you can see the difference in length and the difference in length of the output shafts as well. So let's make sure this bolts up. Looks good. This seal on here looks brand new, but I did order a new one, so probably could have reused this. But I wouldn't want to have to take it out afterwards, so the new seal in. So I put the seal on right here, right there, and then this just goes on. This whole assembly is upside down right now. Something weird I just noticed spinning this is that it spins smooth, but that reluctor wheel thing seems to be bent. It kind of moves in and out. Careful, it's an oily mess. So this just lifts off. Let me make sure that before I take it all the way off, and make sure it goes right on here in the same position. Yeah, this actually fits tighter, has a more solid snap in the bottom. So I think that was the right move. I think that's just in shipping kind of got bent. So always be paying attention. You never know what you'll come across that just isn't quite right. That looks much better. Yeah, let me make sure there's a little bit on here. Some of this will surely spill right out the bottom, but just want to get that all lubed up. Okay. There we go. All right, so you got to get it to spin the output shaft within this main assembly so that it'll lock down into the planetary hubs there. You might not actually even been able to see that. So I apologize. But yeah, you can see right there, we got that main assembly to drop down in. Had to fuss with it quite a bit to get it to drop down into that planetary gear set at the bottom, the output shaft. But I think we're there now. Now this goes on, and figure out the right way this index is. There's like 3 wider notches. Yeah, this is another thing. I think this might only go in one way, really. Okay, so I just had to double check to make sure that I was putting these clutch plates in where they were supposed to go. It looks like I was in, let's see, this is the bottom of the transmission right here, about 7 o'clock, 6:30, just a little bit to the left of the very bottom of this. There's a window here, and that window is where these little kind of half moon cutouts go. And I can look in the bottom here and I can see them. So I think I'm in good shape. This is the last plate to go in. It goes pretty much anywhere, just like that. Let's see. Also, trick for getting these out that I should have thought of earlier is that you can use a magnet. You can use a magnet to make sure you have it arranged right where you want it, where you put it in. Okay. Go ahead and a little more of this on there. Just for good measure. And I'm also going to rub a little of this on this seal before I put this back on. That's it. Okay. I need to put all of these back in. I'm going to put some sealant on them. Okay, that's back on. Get it back on the bench and we'll do the valve body. Okay, put this pump in first. It's a good idea just to make sure everything spins freely once you have it all together. Putting these sensors back in here. In case you're wondering why I'm kind of running everything down with this, it's because it's a lot faster, but then I tighten it by hand because I just don't have a great feel for how tight things are when I use this. I use this mainly for driving screws into wood, which is kind of what it's, I think, meant for, but works well for this project. None of these are super tight. Okay, all of the connections are in. Everything is out of the way. You can see all these connectors are color-coded blue, brown, green. That does make it nice, even though I don't have to disconnect those. Okay, let's put this back in. Okay, so I think the arrow thing totally is the ones that need to come out to get this out. The rest you don't have to actually take out. Okay. I think the issue is this little plastic piece that holds all this wiring in place at the back. It's dislodged a little bit. You need to make sure this piston here is lined up with your gear shift indicator. And we're good there. Okay, so if you're doing this, try only the ones that have arrows on them and see how that works out for you. One thing I don't like about these sockets is it's got a really deep dish there, so you have to hold it like very evenly on there, or else it'll slip off like that. Okay, so I finished up and checked my phone and realized the battery had died. You missed out on basically me putting the front pump back on, the transmission pan. But there it is, two-wheel drive 10L80E, ready to go into that truck with that engine. If you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe for future updates on this project and other projects around the house. I'll be doing the fuel system, the power steering pump, gauges, wiring, all kinds of stuff to make this thing run in this truck. So stay tuned. See you next time. Thanks for watching.